right, man. Today we talking on one topic, man. We're gonna stay on one topic. We're talking about Trump today, man. We're gonna talk about Trump. Let's talk about Trump today. Cause a lot of things been going on with this man, and oh, I can go down an Easter egg with this thing about this guy, this man. Mm. So as I don't know, you know, earlier this year I voted for Trump, and I'm not gonna lie, I voted for Trump based off of one thing. I thought he was gonna do the right thing. Uh, you know, I know he was knew he was gonna handle the illegal immigrants. By that I thought he was mostly gonna go after criminals, but he's separating people from uh, their families. I voted for him mainly because I'm a 2A advocate. Second Amendment, First Amendment, the right, freedom of speech, the right to bear arms. Those are two most important amendments in my head because freedom of speech and then the right to bear arms protects you. In order to do all the other amendments, to have the right to to business, have the right to travel, and the first and the second protects you so you can pursue all the other things this country has to offer. Um, beyond that, you know, what else did he do this year? He disbanded Job Corps. Job Corps. This is a program that young youth, who didn't have a really good upbringing, didn't get to pass high school, they could go into this government program and it would help them secure a trade job within welding, whether welding, fucking getting a CDL, armed security, even going into military, even getting your GED and stuff like that. That's what Job Corps would have enacted, and he took that away. And now with the whole thing now with the transgenders, even though again I don't agree with the whole ideology of transgenders, um, going so far as to taking their rights away to bear arms. So there's a lot of shit. This guy is like acting like a fucking dictator right about now. How you doing, Luis? So yeah, like I'm saying, this guy is fucking acting like a dictator right now. The only thing I gotta say with this is when ICE comes to these Second Amendment 2A states like Georgia, uh, Florida, if they go to Virginia, where's gonna be all my armed protesters at? Are y'all gonna be outside armed protesting these guys? Because these guys are walking in the streets heavily armed, body armor. They're walking around with not just their service M9 Berettas, or whatever sidearms they're using now, but they have the M4s. ICE is also walking around armed everywhere. So I just wonder: are counter protesters are going to be soft? Are they going to come out with? Are they going to come out with picket signs and fences and holding hands and saying you can't take it, Trump? Or they're going to actually fucking have the balls and come out with some weapons? And this is not inciting violence or anything like that. I'm not inciting violence, but last I checked, it's for whatever reason, and understand I'm not a Republican, and I'm not a Democrat. I'm an independent. Right now I see a guy that's way overstepping his boundaries. And I see people that are not how's it going? Four lines. But I see a guy that's way overstepping his boundary, and I see no one doing anything about it. I see no one having the balls to step up to this guy. And I'll give you an example of and I think it's really just the left not having the balls. They'll come out, they'll do stupid shit like they'll burn their own fucking cities or burn their police stations or, you know what I mean? And they'll do a bunch of ravidish dumb shit, and get maced and pepper sprayed and shot with fucking less lethal rounds. I'm telling you now, you throw a brick at these ICE agents now, they're not gonna shoot you with a less lethal round. They're gonna smoke you dead. So, and the only way I think to face an armed oppressive government, well, the only way is to face it is to bring out arms. Because I'll give you an example. Back in 2013, the Bundys, Ted Bundy and his, all of his little followers, they were cattle ranchers over in Nevada. They didn't pay taxes or whatever, and their fucking cattle were on BLM land, which is just public land over in Nevada, and they were eating fucking corn and shit. And the government over there was in Nevada was like, you got to pay your taxes, and then they said, no, fuck you, we're not paying this. And so they took the cattle. They took the cattle, and they said they were taking the land. So the Bundys was saying, hey, this is bullying. So they got about fucking 40 different militia groups to come to Nevada. They marched on where the government was keeping the cattle, right? And these fuckers were on the top of bridges with rifles at the ready, pointed at the police. Luckily, no shots were fired. No shots were fired. And what did the government do? They turned the cattle loose because they figured it was not worth it. Not one bullet was fired, but the sight of armed protesters was enough to turn them away. That means that all right. So look, this is what am I saying, right? Right. And not to say that we should keep illegal immigrants, like bad illegal immigrants here. I want all the criminals gone. But the people that've been here for 20 years and shit, that have businesses, that have houses and shit, that've been paying taxes, you know what I mean? And you just basically come and strip them away from your family. How do we stop this? Because a lot of families, and that I know personally, are being just torn apart right now. They're being fucking torn apart. These are people who have been here. I can understand if these were like people that just got here. You know what I mean? They came here illegally or whatever. Even fucking Cesar Millan came here illegally. If you don't remember, Cesar Millan, and he's one of the best fucking dog trainers, alive. So what do we do to protect these people? Well, you fucking have armed guards, right? Have armed guards in your community that police your community 24/7. Stand outside with AK-47s and M4s, masked up. Have a fucking neighborhood patrol. Carry weapons. Use your Second Amendment right. And remember, this is like we have the Second Amendment, and people forget what the Second Amendment is used for. It's for a tyrannical government. When they start pushing the issue, when they start bullying, fucking, like I said the other day, I don't know if I mentioned it on my live, but I said it in one of my videos. Pick your fucking rifles up, mask up, suit up, put your body armor on, and peacefully protest. Be a community watch. I guarantee you will not see ICE jumping out of fucking. You will not see ICE jumping out of trailers and shit, because all the Proud Boys, the neo Nazis, the fucking whatever the militia groups they were called, Adam Waffen. You know how they get their way? Exactly the way I'm saying. And it works. It works. And they have every right to do it. They have every fucking right to do it. They come out armed to the teeth. And the police never fuck with them. They shake their hands. Why? Because they don't want to end up in a gunfight. Because they know that and the Constitution, allows it. If unnecessary, you have the right to keep and bear arms and protect yourself from foreign and domestic threat and from a tyrannical government. That's why the Second Amendment was created in the first place. So when you have a group of 500 to 1,000 armed protesters, I guarantee you, and you have even 4 to 5 people in your community at a time protecting it, they will not fuck with these immigrants in communities. It works. It works. Start a community watch in your area, and I'm not talking about a community watch where you sit there and hold up signs. That shit don't work. That shit don't work. That's why they run all over you. It's been there, but that's why they run the fuck all over you. Pick up your rifles. Pick up your guns. And I'm not fucking sitting up here inciting violence. I'm not saying, shoot at the government or nothing like that. No, I'm just saying defend yourself. I'm just preaching justice. They're walking around with rifles. They're walking around with guns. They'll use it on you in a heartbeat. So you walking around in a time period where they're literally jumping out of the cars, snatching people and throwing them into cages like animals, and then you don't see them ever again. Yeah, I think you have the right to pick up a gun and because I tell you what, like I just said with the Bundys, when it happened to the Bundys, and this was over just fucking cattle. When it happened to the Bundys, they had 40 fucking militias get together. They had 40 fucking militias get together, go down to Nevada, and them and the forces out there almost got into a gunfight. And it almost happened, and you never want it to get to that point. 9 times out of 10, it will never get to that point. But the mere sight of you having a well-regulated militia, like the Second Amendment states, because the Second Amendment is what keeps all the other amendments together. I'm telling you, you want the right to travel, the right to do business, the right to, the right to travel freely. Well, that's what the Second Amendment was for. And in cases like this, we need the Second Amendment. Now, we'll go here and talk about the transgender people for a second. Out of anyone in the marginalized group right now that should be picking up arms and protesting, it's the LGBT movement. I haven't heard anything from the LGBT arm. I honestly don't know what their arms. So I know they have their own little group, but I haven't heard of any protests forming. They need to get out. They need to go to some of these gun-friendly states, whether it's here in West Virginia or Georgia or Florida, and they need to march on the Capitol, on Capitol grounds with their guns and make a protest to say, you're not taking our arms. Second thing that needs to happen is you need to grab your pew-pews and start a little community where you are enforcing, or not enforcing, but just for protecting your community. You're tired of seeing people coming out of the vehicle, snatching, and I know ICE is just doing their job, but I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, do you think it's morally and ethically right to just, some of these people are not criminals. They've never committed a crime. I guess you can say a lot of people will argue and say, well, they committed a crime when they crossed the border and they didn't get their passport, even though they've been here for 20 years and it never was a problem when, they were standing outside of fucking Home Depot and, people could fucking people could you could pay them to work for damn near nothing. They cut your yard, they fix your car, they work on your fucking construction sites. A lot of these people who had construction sites had illegals. I remember it when I was working when I used to live in Baltimore. We had a bunch of illegals, dudes that could barely even speak English, work. And it wasn't a problem until then. It wasn't a problem until Trump said, "Oh, we're coming here. We're going to because we need good border security and we need good border patrol and all this other bullshit." And now it's the biggest fucking problem on the planet. And my question is to people is, what are you going to do to stand up to oppression? Are you going to just let oppression kick you down? Or you going to stand up and protest? And when I say protest, we don't need to do, you don't need to do stupid shit like what happened, because I'm an independent. Like, dumb shit is, what is dumb shit in my mind? Like going to what happened during the George Floyd protest, burning your own fucking community down, burning down the stores in your community. That shit, and raiding your own stores, that shit is stupid. That's not needed. If you're an anarchist, fuck you. I'm not talking about anarchy here. I'm talking about getting your arms, get your AK-47s, get your M4s, shotguns, whatever rifles, but put on body armor and go out there and protest. And let's see how many ICE agents will fuck with you then. Let's see how many. They never fuck with anyone when they're armed. I'm telling you that. Look at it again. I can keep going back to the Ted Bundy thing, because you talk about fucking Ted Bundy. They never fuck with armed protesters or armed militias. You see police officers every time they're butter elbows up and shaking fucking militiamen's hands and shit, because a lot of the time some of the police members are in those groups, or a lot of them, a lot of those groups are also filled with FBI agents. And again, I'm not fucking inciting violence or anything like that. I'm gonna keep saying that, because Facebook, not Facebook, but YouTube will take that fucking like acting like I'm inciting violence. No, all I'm saying is defend yourself, okay? You're not. We can't have the government sit up here and intimidate, especially in places like DC, where they're coming out. You see the ICE agents. They got M4s in their hands, and we have armed protesters in a state where no one can barely assault weapons. I call them fucking assault weapons. We'll just say modern sporting rifles are illegal. Okay, no one's going to be carrying guns or weapons out there, and and the police out there, they're armed to the teeth. Not even with less lethal rounds. These guys are carrying like live ammunition. So if something pops off, they're gonna engage. They're gonna shoot you. And they're not doing that, because if they were that right there, having those long guns is a show of force. Is what it is. It's a show of force. Because if not, they would have something less lethal. They would have like the riot shields and the billy clubs, and police officers already have their sidearms. Most people in DC are not armed. DC is one of the hardest states to get a weapons permitting. It's not open carry out there, but it's like, and they know that. They know that. So it is a 100% a show of force And my question is just like, when this comes to the other states and they're quote unquote cleaning up, when it comes to Dallas, when it comes to Tennessee, when it comes to Georgia, when it comes out here to fucking West Virginia or Virginia, what are you gonna do? Are you just gonna stand there with a wooden fucking sign? Are you gonna pick up arms and you're gonna fucking actually protest this? Because I'm telling you, man, you go out there with a wooden sign and you go there and you go screaming in their face, fuck you, fascist, all this other thing. The only thing that's going to happen is one or two things are going to happen. They're going to, you're, and this is on the two sides of the spectrum, right? You're going to get your fucking face slammed into a patrol car. You're going to get arrested, or on the crazier side of things, you try to do something stupid, you throw a soda can, you throw a brick, you're going to take a dirt nap. By a dirt nap, I mean you're going to the fucking morgue. How do you avoid that from happening? How do you avoid from these motherfuckers from even touching you? Come outside with a rifle. Strap a pistol to your hip. Come outside with Come across outside with your AR strapped to your chest. See if they touch you then. I guarantee you they won't put a hand on you. It happens every time. Again, I'll keep going back to Ted Bundy. Because and this is, again, you have every right to defend yourself, because even Ted Bundy, I mean, he had people with fucking on top of bridges with rifles pointed at police, pretty much pointed at police, and nothing happened. Now, as minorities, do I think you're going to get away with that? Probably not. And I'm not excited. I'm not saying you point your weapon at anyone. I'm saying come out there with your weapons loaded, and peacefully protest, and show that you're there, that you're armed, that if shit goes south and you guys are being tyrants, we're going to defend ourselves. They have to follow rules and regulations like everyone else. They have to follow rules and regulations like everyone else. They can't sit there and be tyrants and think they can do anything they want to do and not follow the law. We all have to follow the law. When you don't follow the law, if they're not following the law, then how the fuck can we respect them? You can't come out, you can't slam people on the ground, you can't put somebody's face in the dirt and kidnap people. You can't do that. And so what I'm saying is simply, we have the right to come out there and protest with firearms, because again, that is our right. We can do that, and that's just the fact of the matter. And I really don't care what anyone. I really don't care how anyone feels about that. To be honest, like take it however you want. But all I'm saying is come out there and be armed. Show that you support the Second Amendment, because at the end of the day, when shit like this happens, right? When I wake up in the morning and, like I said, I have very mixed opinions. When I wake up in the morning and I see that the DOJ has said that we're going to try to make it a mental issue for transgenders not to own guns. So we can basically just start marginalizing any group of people, right? Let's say that people with lower incomes shouldn't have firearms because they're more prone to crime, right? And let's be honest, people that are gay and that are transsexual or whatever the fuck you call it, they probably need firearms more because they're more of a targeted group than some fucking fat redneck that's just living out in Tennessee in the middle of nowhere, you know, on a farm, like that's got private property. You know, not to say that they don't need it too. I mean, everyone has the right to keep and bear arms, but you know, what I'm saying is that, you know, I think he was talking about this. Yeah, no problem, man. It has to happen, man. We gotta have people sit up here and fight for basic human rights. You know, like I said, when I voted for Trump, I expected him to get out the illegal immigrants that were criminals, not people that have been here for 20 years and you know, coming there and breaking families up. I saw a news report where a guy, you know, I think he was in San Antonio, Texas. He owned a really nice house. He was a business owner. You know, him and his wife owned 2 Mexican restaurants, and he was born in Tijuana. They sent him back, and he's living over there now, and he's working with a lawyer now to try to get, you know. But this is a guy who's been here for 20 fucking years. 20 years, and you know, it's you know, and they just fucking send him over like he's a dog. You know, it's ridiculous. This is an overstep of power. And then now he's now, you know, he's using the transgender thing, even though, like, transgenders. I mean, how many mass shootings since Columbine has been with transgenders? Most of those guys have been, you know, white dudes, white guys, you know, that have committed these shootings, you know. And yeah, so I'm saying, and Trump is fucking anti, really two-way. You know, when you think about it, he is anti two-way. I mean, he did the bump stock ban. One of his famous quotes is he likes to take guns before the due process. You know, he's not on that Second Amendment. The NRA has his hand on his dick, and they funnel money into his little campaign. So I mean, they've been one of the biggest funders. So he's got to toe the line of, oh yeah, I'm a gun owner. Trump doesn't give a fuck about people owning guns. He can give 2 fucks about that shit. And he's like, oh well, I'm a gun owner. Trump has never had to use a gun to protect himself in ever in his life, and nor will he ever have to worry about that. I don't give a fuck if he owns a pistol or if he was gifted a rifle. That motherfucker will never. Do you see how fast those security guards jumped on him when you know, he got shot in the air? That fucker will never have to use a gun in his life to protect himself. He doesn't give a fuck about, nor has he ever had to worry about. That fucker has had armed security his whole life. So, you know, I don't want to hear about him and supporting the Second Amendment and, you know, acting as if, you know, he gives a fuck about the Second Amendment. He gives a fuck about the Second Amendment because the people that are in the NRA, he's got friends in there, and they funnel money into his campaign, and the guy's all about money. So at the end of the day, now I voted for him over Kamala Harris because, again, whatever candidate am I going to vote for, you know? And with all these programs that have been taken away, it's like it's a big mistake. Fuck. I wish there would have been someone that was a little bit more moderate that would have made sense to vote for other than him. I mean, fuck. But I mean, here we are. We have to fucking stand up to tyranny. So this is what I want to know. How many people are going to go out here and protest with rifles in your state when the bullshit comes to your state? If you are allowed to legally carry, how many people are going to come out with rifles to go out and protest? And see how long they form your own little community groups. They never fuck with you when you have the guns. I swear, they never fuck with you when you have the guns. That's why they press so hard against it. That's why it's such a big deal. That's why everyone talks about it. Because the Second Amendment is the only thing that gives us common folk the same power as the government. That AR-15 is pretty much the same weapon that the military uses, the M4. It is the exact same weapon. The only thing is it doesn't go rat-tat-tat, Trans first, citizens. Yeah, exactly. They're going to try this. They're going to try the total line to see if they can get the transgender people rights took it away. And then you figure out when you get into all of this shit, these Second Amendment people, you figure out, because I was on Facebook the other day. I'm in a lot of groups. You feel a lot like a lot of these fucking rednecks. They're like, oh, I'm for everyone's right. I'm for everyone's right. And then when the DOJ comes out with this, you hear them say, oh, good, great, let's get it done. Let's get it done. Let's take their right. Yeah. Let's take their rights so you can go over there, so you can terrorize them, so you can fucking be a bully. They're like, no, I'm not for that. I'm not for. You don't get to take anyone's right, especially the fact that and I haven't even heard Trump say anything about it. Here's a guy that has literally just faced 34 felonies not too long ago. Faced with 34 felonies. He's still a fucking felon, technically. And you're talking about taking other people's rights away? Like, really? Is this what we're doing now? It is fascism. It is fascism. I swear, next time you see these Antifa guys marching and shit, don't come out with fucking, stupid shit like spray paint or signs and baseball bats. Come out with rifles. Don't even have the intent of going out to go punch these neo-Nazis and these other undercover new KKK members in the face. You don't need to brawl with them. Fuck that. Show them that you got that thing on you, and they ain't gonna even fuck with you. They're gonna stay on the other side of they like to talk all this shit. They love to run their mouths and say, oh, we're this, and that. They don't want any smoke for real. They don't want any smoke. They only think they're tough because they know that majority of them have guns. They grew up shooting guns, but you come out there with rifles and show that you're just as trained, they're not going to fuck with you. And then I guarantee you, again, you start these community groups or you patrol around, you need to do this for the next 3 years. I guarantee you that they are not going to fuck with your communities. And you know what? You know what politicians are going to do? Even the liberal ones, they're going to sit back. They're going to say, hey, look, this shit is working. They're not fucking, they're not coming into cities and fucking with us because our citizens are walking around with rifles and they're not letting them touch them. So the government's just pulling back. And honestly, I think this is what they want. Honestly, I think this is what they want. They want to get it to the point where they know, okay, the government's coming out with guns. The citizens are coming out with guns. Trump is so ignorant and fucked up. He's such a fucked up individual. He's gonna be like, if there's anyone interfering with ICE, we will be informed that you have 48 hours, and then we will be arrested. Our soldiers were engaged in firefights, and that's what he wants. He wants to start a civil war. But I tell you what, a lot of these he thinks that soldiers are going to shoot at citizens. A lot of them are not. A lot of them won't do it. I have a cousin that's in the Maryland National Guard. He ain't gonna shoot again. He doesn't matter if he's ordered. He's not going to shoot at armed protesters. He'll say, "Fuck this, fuck this." He'll throw the rifle down. He won't even show up. He'll show up on my side. Yeah, that's what he's trying to do, amigos. He's trying to start a war, man. And the only thing you can do in this situation is not back down. Don't be afraid of fascism. Don't be afraid of racism. Don't be afraid of fucking someone who's trying to oppose bullshit. I'm not afraid of these motherfuckers. Again, right is wrong. Right is right and wrong is wrong. And I'm going to stand up for right every single time. And what he's doing right now is wrong. So again, but it can't be me that starts it. You know what I mean? All I can do is have a voice. You gotta, it's gotta be the Latino people that are being deported and being harassed at a very high rate. They have to stand up first, and then the transsexuals, and the people in the gay community who are being attacked after just one event. This one little event is now giving them the juice to be like, let's go after, they're acting just like, they want to talk so much about liberals, but they're acting just like them. After one event, now you're going to try to really ban a whole group of people who have done nothing wrong, but express their sexuality, which we're all grown here. I don't give a fuck. I don't care if they what they identify as. They haven't done anything wrong. And so again, this is just him attacking these people. And the thing is, they're coming after these transsexual people because he knows a lot of them are not going to stand up for themselves. Yeah, he knows a lot of them, but they're very small group of people. A lot of them, some of them may be a little bit off of their rockers, and a lot of them are just they just choose to live however, but they're still functional people. They go to work, they pay taxes, they do everything everyone else does. They just have a different sexual whatever, and this is bullshit, honestly. This is bullshit. This is straight up oppression, and he knows it. He hasn't come out and said anything about it. Yeah, it's politically motivated, and I think what he wants to do is he wants to start a civil war. That's what they want to do. A lot of these fucking hillbillies, they already have you ever see a lot of these LARPers, man, and they just they didn't get a chance to sign up for the military. They didn't serve. They want to go into combat so bad. So what do they want to do? They want to fucking sit up here and they want to oppress a certain group of people. And then when a certain group of people rise up and say, "Hey, this is not happening. This is bullshit," they want to act like the victims. They want to act like the victims and all this and say, "Well, you know what? Fuck it. We could just start up," because they just want to start a war anyways. They want a reason. They want a reason to shoot at people. I promise you that. It is a lot of these dudes. Trust me, I go to the gun range a lot. You know, a lot of these dudes, and I'm in a lot of gun forums. A lot of these dudes are fucking sick in the head, and instead of just going over to a combat zone right now, like they could go to Ukraine, they can go. They could have went to fucking what was it back not too long ago with the YPG, the Kurdish Fighting Militia. They needed a lot of people over there. You don't see a lot of Americans sign up for that, but they want to shoot at other American citizens. This is what they want to do. They just want the chance for civil unrest to happen so they can use their weapons in that way. They don't want to use their weapons as a defensive force. They want to incite violence, and they want to, you know. But when you pick up a rifle in a defensive way, you're somehow the criminal. You're somehow the fucking. That's how they turn it. You know. They work and pay taxes. Yeah, exactly. They work, they pay taxes, they have the right to Second Amendment. You know, you don't get to say who can and who cannot have has their Second Amendment rights. You don't get to say that, and by making up some bullshit and saying that they're mentally not right in the head to have a fucking gun. Okay, then why are their other rights not being taken away? Why is it just their gun rights? Why not? Why not stop them from having a car? Why not put them all on government assistance then? And you have to pay for them to live. You know, yeah, just take care of them for the rest of their life because they're mentally defective, right? Oh yeah, but you won't do that. But you want to disarm. It's about disarming them so they don't have a chance to defend themselves, and then you'll come other marginalized groups like poor people. You won't say it. You know you can't get away with labeling it by race. You know you can't get away with labeling it by race. So you'll start coming at their specific areas. You'll say if you're on Section 8, you can't own a gun, or something like that. Or if you make under $30,000 a year, that's how they'll do it because they know they'll have a large demographic of people. Will be just immediately taken out of the pool of who can own a gun. Because at the end of the day, all they want is fat rednecks to own guns. Let's be real. I mean, you want to be real? If I'm just being real. And I have a lot of friends all over, that are country as hell, and they say the same thing. They say the same exact fucking thing. They don't want anybody but fat fucking hillbillies to own guns. And, I believe everybody has the right to keep and bear arms because, it's in the Constitution. It's what the founding fathers said, right? So if it's like if you're gonna ban transsexuals, let's get fucking everybody in these hate groups. And I'm talking about all hate groups, black, white, what is it? The Nation of Islams, the neo-Nazis, the KKK. Anybody that subscribes for that, anybody that has a Confederate flag, all you motherfuckers give up your guns. Because that's a hateful ideology, right? And that you obviously have a mental issue if you subscribe to those ideologies. So then maybe you shouldn't be trusted with a gun, right? So, again, yeah, but he knows that everyone would scream bloody murder if that happened. But so, it's ridiculous. Again, like I said, man, Ted Bundy was the one who set this all off in the beginning in 2013 in Nevada when he protested. He had armed protesters to get his cattle, and he basically walked down there and he was like, "We're going to have them release that cattle," and they came there with rifles. They came armed with like 40 different militia groups, and nothing happened. No shots fired. Nothing. And this was over fucking livestock, cattle. This is hamburger meat. And people came there and no one was shot, no one was hurt, no one was injured. So if they can do that, we can stop them from coming to snatch families off the street unjustly. It shouldn't be up to fucking orange creamsicle pop. It should go to court, and the court should be responsible for that. For people who've been there for 20 fucking plus years, are you fucking serious? But yeah, this is what happens, man. It's just like it's fucked. I don't fuck with it, and honestly, it's all if you have a problem with it, fuck how you feel. I don't care. And it just keeps getting worse. And then anybody who doesn't believe that this man is fucked up, it just keeps getting worse by the day. It'll get worse and worse and worse and worse because at the end of the day, I know what he's trying to do. And y'all got to start fighting for yourselves, man. Y'all got to start, like I said, peacefully protesting with firearms, and stand up for your fellow man, because if you don't do it, no one will. No one will, and they're just gonna keep walking over you. But I know, when the shit actually hits the fan, I'm not going nowhere. Nope. I'm gonna be sitting there, protesting, waiting. And if I had to defend myself, it is what it is. Don't want it to get to that point, but it's like, this is, y'all have to you gotta show some grit, man. You gotta show some fucking grit. You gotta show some backbone. Don't let these motherfuckers just walk all over you. And it's just like, they don't wait till the last second to get your arms, man. Like you have the right, to assembly, to protest, to peacefully protest, and to if need be, defend yourself. That's what the Second Amendment is for. You're protected under the Constitution. Don't think you're not protected. Don't think that they're the only ones with rights. Well, that being said, man, I'm done. I talked about this topic enough. I may come back on later tonight. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Subscribe to my channel, man. I'm gonna be making some good videos coming up this week. I'm thinking about making some hunting content. I'm gonna be hunting with my rifle back there, and skinning some game and shit like that, and do some night videos. I got my dogs. My dogs. One of my dogs, she hunts raccoons and possums and shit. So we want to get a couple of those videos out because it's about to start getting cold outside again, guys. And I ain't gonna be out here in this West Virginia weather in the cold and shit like that. Way out in the woods. So yeah, like, comment, share, subscribe. Peace.